Hello, everyone. We are live on YouTube, recapping the highs and lows of Survivor Series War Games going down live in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. I'm Keila Cash, and by my side, as always, is not my co-captain, Salty Scott Young. No, he's not here tonight. He is taking the night off because he's going to watch the show on the delay and maybe come through on Wednesday's episode of The Wrap to give us his salty takes on tonight's show. But here, for the first time in, dare I say, 6 or so months since we kind of switched from our Saturday recording schedule to in the middle of the week. For the first time, I'm seeing this guy's face back on the Wrap as an honorary co-captain. I bring to you from the Feige Media family, the one, the only Jeremy Finestone. Welcome home, Jeremy.
I can't wait to disappoint everyone after an introduction like that. I really do not bring enough to the table as a guest host to really earn the accolades that I just got here. No, you and Scott have a great thing going here. Glad to step in for a minute, but no, I cannot recreate the magic of the salty Scottness. I am much more of a nuanced spice kind of guy, if you wanted to go that route. Not quite so heavy on the salt. I'm getting older. Have to watch my diet. The sodium is not great for me. So just, try and keep in mind. But yeah, I am here to join you to talk about the plateaus and the crevices of Survivor Series 2024, because the peaks and valleys is very generous in my thing. I think it was a very cromulent show, as Jeff Hawkins from the Dynamite Show would call it. Perfectly acceptable.
It was definitely a show. It was acceptable for the time it was given. It ended before 10 o'clock. I was astounded. It was at a 4-hour show. They got in and got out before 9:30. Very thankful for that. It was definitely a show. The next to last PLE for WWE this year, the Big Five, the final major main roster show, was just a show. It was okay. There were some good things on the show and not so great things, as we'll get into. But I do love your phrasing of nuanced spice. That is something different that does offer that little tinge of flavor that I do expect some spicy hot takes from Finestone tonight.
Well, yeah, I think the first thing is I was expecting a lot more from this show than what we got. Frankly speaking, it just, they were teasing so much with the men's War Games match that really what we got was kind of chalk. There were everything that you thought would happen, along with a couple of like cool moments here or there between Punk and Roman, and just stuff like that. But other than that, nothing blew me away. It's like you got to the main event tonight and you're like, well, this main event better be something, because like up and down the card, it's been fine. One match was pretty much nothing, but it was fine. It's Survivor Series and you've been building to this for so long, and you blew away everybody with the CM Punk introduction into the angle. And then when you got to the match, everything was fine. Everything was great. But it was missing something. And I don't know what that was.
Drama, betrayal, low storytelling. I think there was more apparent in the main event for the guys versus the opening match, which we'll get to in just a moment. I think the show missed like some really good surprises, some risks that needed to be taken in terms of storytelling. I think Scott and I made some outlandish predictions of what could have happened on this show. And I think that some of the matches on this card definitely needed something, a little punch. And I just think that it was lacking. And maybe Paul is waiting to do something heading into next year to really kind of unfurl these storylines that are bubbling underneath these War Games matches. But I felt like everything was pretty pedestrian. We got no shocks, no surprises, nothing that really stood out to say, wow,
not at all.
Tune into the TV next week and see the fallout, because everything was pretty by the numbers.
I mean, I remember I was listening to you and Scott when you guys came out with your show on Tuesday. Every Tuesday, the Wrap comes out for all of you checking it out right now. But, I was listening to what you had to say, and we were talking about how like the crazy stuff that we are going to come out with, and the things that were just going to be so hot when you're coming out. It was like, and there wasn't anything like that. And there are shows that absolutely need to be like this so that the expectations are brought down. But when you're living it and you're watching these shows and your expectations and I guess the milks are when you get steak every night kind of thing, you expect like the best steak of your life when you're watching one of these big shows. And you didn't get the best steak of your life. And it's one of those first world problems. They had a good show. They didn't have a great show. And I was just, with everything kind of leading to this, and you're looking at the WarGames all the way back at WrestleMania, and you're thinking, oh, they're going to have a team, and he's going to have a team, and this is all going to blow up in November. When we finally got to it, I think my personal expectations of what we were going to get just didn't quite hit.
Yeah, and even though I was crazy and like in the left field of possibilities, at least it was something that was tangible within the storyline that would have made sense. But like nothing happened, as Debbie said. Hi, Debbie, how you doing? No wow factor. Everything seemed to go according, but just no wow. Some matches I felt should have had more story, but it was just enough. I agree, because there were stories that were underneath both matches, and then they played it up at the very last minute. It really wasn't touched on, especially during the women's match. It was a stare down that was out of nowhere, but like you didn't build it up on television at all, which we'll get to as well. Shout out to, of course, our people at BSPN. Let's go. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for tuning in as we now get into the Survivor Series 2024 recap, as we begin with our opening match, which is the women's WarGames match involving team whoever you want to call it, Bianca Belair or Rhea Ripley. It was Bianca, Rhea, alongside Io Sky, Naomi, and Bayley as the fifth woman versus Team Liv Morgan with Liv and Raquel Rodriguez alongside the team of Candice LeRae. Then we had Nia Jax in the mix and Tiffany Stratton. This match, I have seen a lot of WarGames from the ladies dating back to 2019, which was my favorite WarGames match in Chicago for NXT TakeOver. This was the worst WarGames match I've seen from the ladies, and it comes down to the booking. Now, there was a couple
was sloppy.
It was very sloppy, but
super sloppy.
It was super sloppy. And I need names of who booked the match, because I go back to the Royal Rumble 2 years ago, and people that know me remember why I asked a very specific question during that Royal Rumble. Who in the hell told someone to make Tamina the pace setter in that match? I asked around. I said, who did this? The same thing happened here. Who in the world said it was a wise idea for Nia Jax to be the pace setter for the women's WarGames match? Who
thought there was a strategy to that? there was a booking. Okay, hear me out. So you have to have something for the heels if the baby faces have an advantage. So what do you do but put your strong arm right out the gate? And so the one-on-one, and even on a two-on-one, you're almost wearing out two of your opponents trying to take down this one person, and it didn't even work. So their advantage was essentially erased because they brought out Nia first. It made for a less than compelling match. Don't get me wrong. Some of those chair shots that Nia was giving and taking were magical in terms of the effect that they were supposed to have versus the sight that you saw. That's why I call it magical, but you can take it magical in any way, shape, or form that you want. But yeah, Garrett and I were talking about it when we were watching the show, and he pointed that out. I was like, oh, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So the aspect of that I get, but it just didn't really help the match. I am so sorry for interrupting.
It's okay. And I love how you're trying to defend this and say there was a strategy here. But and And you're trying so hard to be the reasonable critic to say, you know what? I understood it. You want to get your heaviest hitter out there to handle business. But like for any fan of WWE that saw Nia Jax improve in the last year or so, this match undid everything. It did. And I have loved Nia this year. But my God, the soft tissue paper chair shots, her trying not to strike Naomi in the face with a chair, her trying to be so gentle with these shots. And then I'm wondering to myself, who made the decision to have her and Bayley set the tone? Did you not see SummerSlam? Did you not watch Bad Blood? They don't work well together. There's a chemistry issue, and nothing you can do about it is going to fix it. And WarGames was not the solution.
I'm with you on all of this. I am trying to approach this and trying to logic out things that I didn't like because, as we talked about earlier, I was really kind of let down by this show. Okay, like there's nothing wrong with the show. You know, like the matches for WarGames, you're gonna get a match like this where it's just they're trying to be inventive, they're trying to think outside the box, they're trying to give you things that they've never done before, and you can see something that like Bianca did that she just blew it and she was just like, well, shit, okay, let's keep going. And, you know, like Nia was trying to give and take a number of things, and it just kind of, the most exciting thing I thought was when Tiffy like teased the briefcase, but then it didn't happen, and I realized nothing in this show is going to matter because everything is gonna rotate around Netflix. That night one, that January 6th show, like we are effectively spinning wheels at all the big angles until we get there. And that was the moment in this show where I kind of realized that. Where it's like we're gonna have some stuff, but like the big stuff, they're pumping the brakes on, and they're just gonna kind of give you the appetizers until we get there.
Yeah, it feels like a stalling tactic to say, hey, we're getting ready for Netflix. What you will see now won't matter. Even Saturday night's main event in a couple of weeks, it won't mean much. Just give us into January 6th for Netflix's debut of Monday Night Raw. And we got you heading to the Royal Rumble, which I understand. Debbie Notes said, I love all my girls, but this could have just been an elimination match. There was no need for WarGames. And I think that is going to be a talking point that we'll get to regarding the WarGames concept. It is a very cool thing that WWE's implemented starting in NXT a few years ago, and they made that transition to the main roster within the last 2 years or so. But is it a crutch? Because even though I really didn't care that they was going to throw a women's match on this show involving WarGames, I thought the talent would outweigh the nonsensical aspects of the booking heading into this match. But unfortunately, the work rate wasn't there as it should have been. But there were moments that I did like. Io Sky was hands down the MVP. She was fantastic. Every time she puts that trash can over her head, you know she's going to do something crazy. And every moonsault she does is more beautiful than the other. This layout was gorgeous. I loved what she did. Tiffany was good too. She had her moment on top of the cage, doing the seton on top of everybody. Perfectly timed, great height, great elevation. I enjoyed it for sure.
I felt terrible for Tiffy, and I'll tell you why. They did those unison moonsaults that they did. No one was looking at Tiffany.
No.
They were all looking at Io. And then you had to go back to the replay to realize that she had done one too. And you're kind of like, then you had to watch it again. And then you're like, you kind of look at Io and you're like, yeah, what is that? Just like anything you can do, I can do better. That was a theme between those two in the match throughout the night. And it was great. And it was trying to show the range that Tiffy had. But man, there were some moments there like you're trying to make this happen and her strengths are elsewhere.
Yeah. And just Io is this next level. And here is the weirdest comparison I'm about to make because of what you said. So let's go, 20 plus years ago, MTV Video Music Awards. It was Madonna, Britney, and Christina, and they did the kiss. And nobody remembers Madonna kissing Christina. They only remember Madonna kissing Britney, and Christina was right there. So when you do the seton and the moonsault, Yes, Tiffany was there too, but only EO is remembered. Poor Tiffany. That spot is going to be underrated forever. But she was great in this. Part of me wanted to see her and EO kick things off. I think if they got like 5 good minutes to go out there and work, it could have set the tone in a much better way. Have Nia come in later, not do so much in order to carry things. Just the booking and the layout was definitely a choice. And I just think at the end of the night, it just felt like things was just but thankfully Rhea Ripley came through. Love the mask, love the fit. She came through, and as Scott and I talked about on the wrap a few days ago, if she did not beat Liv Morgan, she needed to give up on her quest to ever be women's world champion again. Let this feud go, let it die. Thankfully, Avalanche Riptide off the top rope definitely saved things for now, but she's not next in line. It's Io Sky, and I'm going to be very interested to see how that goes whenever this match takes place, which I presume will be Saturday night's main event or the January 6th edition of Monday Night Raw on Netflix.
It could be either. They could push it all the way back to Royal Rumble. You know, like there are ways to make that happen. Although I feel like there has to be one title match before we get to Rumble, because it's February. So January 6th might be right. You know, just kind of that show, and then I don't know. So coming out of this match, who came out looking as a bigger star?
Io.
Do you think Candice got anything out of this match?
She got a little. I think that she got way more in the first WarGames back in 2019 in terms of spots and like remembrance of what she did. And her and Rhea playing from behind the entire match.
Yeah, I don't really think this did anything for Bayley or Naomi or Bianca. I think it actually made Raquel look worse.
Yeah.
When they were doing the hop skipping from like moves from each team, like at one point Raquel took a Bronco Buster from Naomi and sold it like she died. And to me, I just felt it made Raquel look so bad because she's supposed to be this like big monster, right? Like nothing should take her down. Nothing should be the thing. And it was just like this normal move. And there was like this moment of mystique for me of like, oh, what are we doing here, guys? Come on. And I will say, near the end, when they did Io with the fire extinguisher, and in the midst of the fire extinguisher, they got Raquel handcuffed by Rhea, I thought the framing and the way that they shot it and the reveal of it was tremendous. And they've been able to key in on things like that on their shows, that while I'm critical of things, I have to give them their credit. That was done really well.
That was super clever. Like the reveal of it, like, oh shoot, Raquel's handcuffed. Very clever how they did that. And that was smooth. I will give them that for sure. The one thing that I thought was underplayed during this entire buildup was the beef between Io Sky and Bayley. And they had a grand total of 1 stare down. Like, y'all just not figured out you were on the same team and that you had beef. You had a WrestleMania match. There was a complete turn leading into your match at WrestleMania when Bayley was exiled from Damage Control. We're just not remembering that thread, and I go back to last year's Survivor Series. And one of the most important storylines was Becky and Charlotte. Can they get along because they're not friends anymore? But here we go here with this battle between Bayley and Io, and oh, we forgot there was beef here. Like the storytelling was underbaked here. Like we got that with Bianca and Bayley, but it wasn't played up enough.
Did Bianca and Bayley just go out for an afternoon of mani-pedis and like coffee and lunch and just settle their differences? Because like all of a sudden, like Bayley helped Bianca like pin Nia in that match on Raw, and then everything's great. We're settled. The story's been told, and it's like, wow, they glossed over that one real quick. It wasn't even like I never felt like there was a moment where that was reflected, reciprocated, or even relayed to the audience that was a thing. You know what I mean? Like the story was told off the page in a lot of ways. And they never even told the story with Io and Bayley And to me, I feel like they're trying to push that off because they still want to do something with it.
Yes, but it should have been played up more. And we got that one stare down that didn't mean a thing when it counted most. And yes, Bianca and Bayley, like they don't get along, but they're kind of nicer to each other now, which is weird. But I did like the fact after they won the match, Bianca did side-eye Bayley, and that is giving her credence to be on my suspect list as to what she possibly did too. Jay Cargill last week on SmackDown, and Michael Cole did say that maybe someone on this team attacked Jade. We're going to get the answer in 6 months. But Debbie also notes that the point was Liv and Rhea, which is perfectly fine, but the other girls just sadly got lost a bit. And I agree. And maybe this could have been like an elimination tag match heading into Survivor Series. Let's go 5-on-5, no need for WarGames. And that might be a consideration heading into next year's Survivor Series. And maybe we're using WarGames as a crutch, and it should only be used for important situations. And unfortunately, the talent in this match cannot outweigh the booking faultiness of it all. That's unfortunate, but it's kind of what happened tonight.
The concept of a war games match superseded everything that was happening around the women. You know, like what was going on with each of the women, like they kind of dovetailed all the stories so that you had 5-on-5. And it's fine, but it never really felt like all of these women fucking hated each other and wanted to tear their hair out of a blood feud, minus Liv and Rhea. And you know, that was in jeopardy for a second, but apparently Rhea fine enough to wrestle without any protection on her face whatsoever. So I got questions about that as well, but we don't have enough time to dive into that right now. Other than it was a match. It didn't feel germane to the future. It didn't feel germane to the past. We had a finish that made sense for now, but once we move on to Raw, I feel like it'll be in the rearview mirror and this match won't even matter.
It will be forgotten about. I remember watching WarGames back in 2019 and even last year, and I was left on a high and a cloud, and I felt very happy about what happened. This match, I won't remember tomorrow. And that's being very honest. It's like it existed, it happened. We had good moments, we had some horrible moments. We had a toilet seat for crying out loud, which was just a random weapon being used. We have toilet humor in a match. Okay.
Oh, God, the amount, like, figure out where your fucking shit is under the ring, okay?
Yes, that.
Like, what the shit was that? The amount of time that was wasted.
Looking for stuff.
Just your thing. At least Io knew where hers was marked and what it was supposed to look like. Well played for her. Everyone else, oh my God. One person grabbed the wrong thing and it was chaos from there on out. Everyone just started grabbing the wrong shit. And by the time you got to the 7th person in the match, you're like, I don't know where I should have. I give up. Don't know. That was this show in a nutshell.
It
After
was.
the 7th try, they just gave up.
Like, they need to have the shit out, like, off top. Like, have it around ringside. Have it all laid out. Here's your toolbox. Here's your tables. Here's your handcuffs. Here's your toolbox. Here's things you need to fight. Let's stop digging under the ring, because the fans only care about one thing, tables. And when they don't get them, they boo. Like, oh, great, a trash can lid. Oh, great, a trash can. Oh, great, a kendo stick. I don't care. Where's the tables? And so when you set that expectation for the fans to think they're going to get something, you don't get it, then they just boo and they just sit on their hands and just wait for the table spot they've been begging for since the beginning of the match. But a lot of looking around for stuff was definitely a lot of downtime. It like basically killed like 90 seconds into the rotation, basically. It was a lot going on. But Jeremy, in honor of Scott, on the scale of 1 to 5 Finstones, what do you rate this match?
Of the diamonds in the rough that these Finstones could be, I'm going to go with a 3 out of 5.
Ooh, you're nice. You're very nice. I'm going to go 2 3/4 Finstones.
Oh, I could have gone quarters and all that? That's fine.
Yeah, you're nice. You try
what was your favorite spot in the match, and what was the worst like looking thing that you can remember?
I'm going to say Io's dive was the best part. Tiffany,
Okay.
you get an honorary mention. The worst part of that entire match was those god-awful chair shots. Dear God in heaven, that was the worst. It was so bad.
I would say that I liked the way that they did the fire extinguisher and that whole sequence and what it led to. But I don't think I cringed more than when Nia took that high angle power bomb through the table and I thought she broke her neck.
Or the body slam she took when she almost landed on her neck.
Yes. There were moments of, I don't want to say recklessness, but being too in the moment, it felt like.
Some close calls. Back body drop says high because that was a high angle landing. I thought the neck was snapped, but she got up and she survived. But yeah, the smash was definitely messy. And hey, it wasn't all bad. It wasn't all great. It was definitely somewhere in the middle.
3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. I say 2 3/4.
Right.
Logan says Io Sky is doing legacy in WarGames. She is. She is a legacy player. She's tremendous out there. She is the MVP.
She's been in all 3 the last 3 years because I was thinking about the men's, and Jay and Jimmy and Sami and Roman have all been in the last 3 WarGames. And I think Io's been the same.
Yeah, she hasn't missed a one. She's been in all of them. NXT, main roster. She has been a memorable game time player in these matches, and I adore her. And hell, make her champion. I don't give a shit. She's the best right now.
Run it back. Give her another reign.
Run it back.
This time.
Yes. Like, she is so fucking cool, man, as a wrestler and as a person. Like, her press conference answers are so cute, and she's like the best. So just give her the run as a babyface. It's well deserved at this point, and I think that she'll be a great champion as she was before.
I'm with you on all that. All right, we have talked this one out for a good period of time. We almost talked about it as long as the match was.
Yes, we did. We gave it more time than the actual match itself. And hey, at least we're trying to offer variety. I just got to give Jeremy the nod to just try to defend elements of this match with logic.
I just, like, when you put yourself through such fuckery, I guess, I just want to not talk about it as if I'm completely dismissing what they've just put their bodies through. And I don't know. Decent, I guess.
Yes, it makes you a decent fan, Jeremy. Damn it. Makes you a decent human being out there that acknowledges the pain people go through to put on a show for us.
Because you're about to go through a lot of pain on this next match.
Oh, Lord.
We're all going through some pain on this match.
Oh, my goodness. The Vancouver crowd was like hot and cold for a lot of stuff on the show. Like, they got up for stuff they liked. They were kind of cold for other things. This next match was what I would call the SmackDown television special involving Shinsuke Nakamura and LA Knight for the United States Championship. So Shinsuke Nakamura, Darth Nakamura, has a new look, new entrance music that got dragged.
Lord Nakamura, according to the show on Tuesday.
Yes. So he came out there. I did laugh on SmackDown the night before, like they canned in his new music. It got dragged and said, well, let's go back in the studio and fix this immediately. We're so sorry. Like, it wasn't bad. It was just giving Trap Nakamura. That's what it was. And so he came out there. I like the entrance, and LA Knight came out there, and it was just a match. It
was nothing.
Was nothing
to this.
It was just things happened. My favorite phrasing when it comes to watching a match like this, it existed. It happened.
This was a prelim match on a New Japan show before the big show. This was a Road 2 match that was the 4th one on the card between 2 guys. And trust me, I watch these shows all the time. Like, these guys were not doing much. They were not putting their best foot forward. They felt like they were on this position on the card that for whatever reason was buried. The crowd didn't give a shit. It was there. And it's fine. Like, I love Nakamura. I think their bloom on LA Knight is kind of like had better days. And I think what happened tonight was probably the right call. moving that title forward to someone else and just kind of cycling that through. But other than that, like, LA Knight can't make the jump to the rope anymore. And yeah, you tell me what happened in this match, because I don't even remember.
I just watched a match. Moves happened. It wasn't great. The one thing I will say is that when you bring back Nakamura, there needs to be intentionality as to why you're bringing him back, because every time you reboot him, he has the same like story of why he's coming after people, and he needed to prove a point this time. You tried that with Cody earlier this year, and he lost all of his matches. So thankfully, in this case here, which was a pleasant surprise, you had Nakamura win the US Championship in Vancouver, because WWE said this for a long time. We've never had a title change in Vancouver for any event. Tonight we made history. Congratulations. It was a nothing match, but history was made nonetheless. It just felt like both guys just didn't work well together. It wasn't a good mix for me. And LA Knight has had good matches as United States champion, but this one was his weakest. And then they tried to say it was some psychological warfare. He was spooked by Nakamura. I call bullshit on that. This wasn't a very good match. And I felt like, wow, this was a ho-hum way to end the title run, but it gives Nakamura the rub, so why not?
Do you think Knight was unenthusiastic because he was dropping the title?
Yeah, and I think that shows sometimes, because even in moments when he was interacting with Andrade on SmackDown recently, like when things go off script, he kind of shows his ass a little bit, and he needs to kind of draw that in. If you're going to win or lose, if things happen unexpectedly, you got to roll with it and just deal. Just have an air of professionalism about your business, because listen, if you're going to lose, you're going to lose. Go out there and do the very best you can. Even if the match ain't going to be great, go out there and don't half-ass it. I thought this was a half-ass LA Knight performance because he was losing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It definitely didn't exceed any expectations. I didn't have a whole lot of expectations for this match. I'm not sure how I feel about LA Knight in general, other than like his personality is bigger than his wrestling repertoire. And that's not a bad thing, because there are a lot of wrestlers that get by with personality. And I think he is one of them. But he's not someone that I go to for work rate. And God bless Nakamura, but he's a different Nakamura than the one that existed in a different time and place that I have a utmost respect for. And I still have a lot of respect for him, but I do understand that this is not the same wrestler.
This is not New Japan Nakamura.
No.
This is an NXT Nakamura.
No. This is, I just want to make sure I can go out and surf the next day kind of Nakamura.
Basically, that's what we got right now. And it's like, that's okay. But I do need more. I need more than the anime promos, which are very clever and creative, and they stand out. I need more than Nakamura wearing like special makeup under his eyes to make a point. I love the hair. I love like the wet surfer cut.
Is a look.
Yeah, I like the surfer hair with the blonde highlights. Very nice, but I need more. And I don't know if he's going to give us more, but I would like to see more. But who I feel sorry for is Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. Like, we did all this, and this guy comes in here and wins the U.S. Championship. What the hell?
Although I do kind of want to see Andrade and Nakamura.
Yeah, I do. Run it back, because he cheated last night on SmackDown. I would love to see them like run it back and give them more time, and Nakamura puts in the work to really deliver. But like, I feel for those guys. We had like 7 matches, and we were going after LA Knight the entire time in some ways, and then we just don't get anything to show for it. Great.
Yeah. You got any more thoughts about this match?
No, it was just a waste of time. It could have been on SmackDown, honestly. Like, Paul Levesque, question: why wasn't this match on SmackDown before Survivor Series?
I was thinking maybe they could have done a tag match and have Motor City Machine Guns versus like
DIY
and DIY and like a 3-way or something like that.
Oh,
they probably didn't want 2 3-ways on there and all that stuff.
I don't give a damn. It would have been so good.
I will say this. There's one more thing that I want to bring up about this match. And this was based off of a conversation on the wrap that you had with Salty Scott. And I think he would be very upset if he knew that I knew you clowned him immensely for even suggesting that Shinsuke Nakamura would possibly win the United States Championship at the 2024 WWE Survivor Series. You mocked him for 2 minutes straight. You ate his lunch and you let everyone know him. And how do you feel about that right now?
Every dog has his day. And Scott will have a victory lap on Wednesday, and he will make me pay for this too. Because you're his surrogate right now, as he's somewhere like laughing at the fact like I was wrong, and I did eat him up. I did, and I thought I was going to be right.
and I listened to the podcast, and I actually heard it a little while earlier today. And I had already known that like the booking odds had kind of shifted in Nakamura's favor, and I'm like, oh, this didn't age well at all. And I was sitting there and I was talking with Garrett. I'm like, the one thing I'm going to make sure that I'm going to catch her off guard on is that she's going to have to eat that one. And I knew you knew it was happening because about 10 minutes ago, I mentioned that I listened to the rap and you got real silent for a minute.
I did because you knew what was going to happen.
I did.
And what I said.
I did.
Now, in the moment when I said I stand by what I said. I stand on business.
Absolutely. Your convictions at the time were real.
Yes. Until they weren't.
And the logic was sound.
Yeah. Until it wasn't. Scott will make me pay for this on Wednesday. This will be the one victory lap. It's like him talking about the Lakers. I will pay for this.
I want the through line between these shows. I want there to be seamlessness between when he was here and when he wasn't and when he's back. And so this was my one moment to just step in for Scott, be Scott's surrogate, give him the thing give him his dap, because he called it like right there. Before anybody else did. I didn't hear anybody else think Nakamura had it. So big ups to your partner, Salty Scott.
He gets 1 Nabisco cookie for being right.
Sure.
Congratulations to him.
Keep the blood sugar down.
Yes. Being healthy here. That's very important. Sugar-free. And it will never happen again. This will be the first and last time, because normally I'm Nostradamus, and this time I'm not Nostradamus. I was wrong. And I own it. It was rough.
Rough day for the cash.
I feel so awful. But this too shall pass. Thank you, Jeremy, for bringing it up to hold me accountable, because that's important. Hold me accountable.
Real, recognize it's real.
Yes. Even I can't get away with shit sometimes. You let me know. Like, what we're not going to do is have Keila not acknowledge her mistake here, her wrong pick. And I am here to say you're right. I own up to my faultiness.
That was amazing that you were able to do that. You know what else was amazing?
Yes.
Maxine Dupree and Akira Tozawa presenting Otis with the t-shirt.
A live insert advertisement for a t-shirt I never heard of before in life. And then it wasn't even the t-shirt they were selling. When he walked out, we saw pixelated Otis cheeks walking down the hall. And I'm like, what are we selling? Ass or a shirt? I don't know. And we had jokes on Discord about, like, will we see Otis's butt cheeks on Netflix January 6th?
What HR is for? What the HR doesn't give a fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like, either that t-shirt is so amazing that everyone's eyes were drawn to it and they ignored everything else, or that was a fake blur and he had his gear on underneath.
That was some of the fakest pixelation I've ever seen in my life. I've seen
you can see his ring gear underneath the shirt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's cool. You can see the ring gear. And then he walks away and acts like he's naked. I'm like, oh no, he's wearing the bottom of his ring gear. it's a singlet, guys. Like, give away the ghost.
Just the worst pixelation, the fakest pixelation of covering up somebody that was actually clothed.
Maxine Dupree, though, God bless her. She chewed up every moment of the scenery that she had in that commercial.
She sure did, and she earned every penny. Let me tell
Oh
you,
my goodness.
Maxine Dupree.
They actually they would switch the camera, right? And you could tell the camera was like a little higher quality for like commercial filming.
Exactly.
Versus the live one that they were
Yes.
using.
Yes.
And it was jarring in like the second until you realized what was happening, that it was almost like a pre-cut kind of thing.
Yes.
And I was like, what a new WWE.
The quality of the camera angles of how you can see the high quality and low def all in the same shot was just the best. And Maxine Dupree is the best. Let me tell you something. She owns her character 100%. And when the camera's on, she's on too. And she's not going to leave any scenery unchewed. It will be ate up. And she did what she needed to do. She almost made me want to buy a t-shirt.
I don't know how she can say some of those lines without breaking. Because they're ridiculous. Some of those lines that she has to say are just so fucking out of this world. She had to practice them to a point where she's psychologically like removed from finding them funny in any way, shape, or form. Because they're unbelievable. Just actors. Good for them.
Yes, sells it so well. I will give her credit for that. I love her. The segment was something to behold. My God.
Yes, it was.
It was something. But I will say the show turned around for the better with our next match, which was a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. It was the champion, Badass Bron Breakker versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser. This match was the best match up until the main event. Great action. All three guys work great together. Sheamus, at the stage of his career, is incredible. And I do love this underneath storyline of him never winning the one championship that has eluded him throughout his entire WWE career, and it is the IC title. And these fans were so up for every near fall this guy got. And it was like, please, God, let this be it. Like, no, it won't be it. Like, Sheamus will not win this championship until he's 50, but I'm here for the journey of him trying so hard and failing every single time.
He's got to win the title and retire, right?
Yes.
Like, it's just like, win it, and then it's like, thank you, I'm out. Like, I just put the thing on the shelf in the missing hole, or the missing like belt holder on the shelf, and then just be like, and done. And end scene kind of thing. He is great. Ludwig's great. Bron Breakker's fucking amazing.
Oh. We called it years ago in NXT. My God.
Oh. This dude, he debuted August 2021. No, September 2021. He's had 142 matches, and this is what he's doing at this point. Fucking unreal.
Crazy. Called it from the moment I saw him. Scott and I said, listen, future WrestleMania main eventer book account it. He's had some ebbs and flows in NXT. The main roster tenure he's had this year has been like, okay, they know, and they have not let up ever since. He's lived up to every expectation. He's been incredible. And this match was just great. You're in there with two guys that have been around the block for a very long time with Ludwig and Sheamus, and he did not look out of place one bit. He was there for every spot. He's not overthinking anything. He is like a seasoned vet with less matches under his belt than just about anybody on this roster, with very few exceptions. He is incredible. And I agree with Debbie as I pull up her comment. She says, I feel Ludwig will get a championship when Tiffany gets one. The power couple being dual champions, I'm here for it. It happened probably sometime in 2025, as Scott predicted as well on the wrap recently. But Bron Breakker's time is right now. Ludwig's time is coming for sure.
It says a lot to me that Ludwig was not the guy that was pinned, and that they had Sheamus get pinned. That says to me that Sheamus is not the guy to beat Bron. I I don't know how long Bron is going to have this belt for. I think it's going to be an average length of time, nothing too short or nothing too long. But it will be kind of shot. You'll know when it's time for him to like lose that title. He's still a heel right now, but it's not going to be for long. You know, you can't keep doing this with this guy and get the reactions. The crowd was just whooping with him, and he was just bringing it on. He was like a gladiator in the Coliseum. You know what I mean? Like, there was this energy where he was like, yeah, I'm the guy. Give me your cheers. I'm Maximus. I'm the gladiator. That is the energy that he gives off. Like Conan the King, that kind of, I hate to use that phrase, but alpha male. You know what I mean? Like the alpha male energy of this guy is, he's not ready yet for the main event. But for 3 years, from the point that he has come from NXT and the 9 months that he's been on the roster, from the moment he started running in and destroying Ricochet and Ilya Dragunov, when he started making his way, and then, you know, destroying Sami and getting the title there, and then the Reign of Terror. Like, you think of Gunther's reign that he had and the dominance that he had, and then you see Braun's reign, and it's a different kind of dominance, right? It's like sheer brutality and force and speed rather than like the ring general where he deconstructs you methodically. You have two different guys on the come up, two completely different heels, two completely different energies, but at the same time, they're both working in like perfectly according to plan.
And the best part, the fans buy in. Like they see it. Like the main roster WWE fans recognize greatness when they see it. And he hasn't even hit the peak of his prime yet, which is scary. Like he's still learning things at this stage of his career on the main roster. 2-time IC champion, does not feel out of place one bit. Only is going to get better at this as he continues to evolve his game, because I think he has even more to learn and to grow as a wrestler, but he is so great already. And I recognized it for the moment I saw him when he was on NXT, when those little splash colors popped up. And I said, who is this? Braun Breaker? I said, on site, oh, this is an automatic guy that is going to be a main eventer of a WrestleMania in the next 5 years. It is going to happen imminently. And they are teasing things ahead of schedule, talking about Roman and Braun, spear for spear. You see the seeds being planted there. Paul Heyman got his eyes on Braun Breaker. For what reason? We don't know. Let's not forget Jimmy was whispering to Braun leading into Survivor Series, hey, Braun, hey, forget what you did to my brother. Hey, guy, you want to join Team Bloodline? Like, they're planting seeds for the future. They see this guy as someone that is going to be a headliner of a WrestleMania and vying for a championship, as they should, because he is the next guy in line. I do not doubt that.
He's up there. Money in the Bank winner next year. I would not doubt it at all. He's exactly the kind of guy that they should have, and then he cashes in like immediately that night. He's not a guy that's going to wait. Everything is about now. Let's do this now. I watched him do those spears at the end of this match, and I was just like, at one point, Braun Breaker, maybe in the next 3 years, will be hitting that spear in the main event of WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. And winning a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he could win a Mania. All I know is that is going to be a moment, a main event moment at one of the biggest shows. You can't keep watching that and just not be like, I want to watch that on replay. Oh my God. Like, dynamic, forceful. It reminds you of Brock Lesnar.
It does. And he's got more speed than Brock and more athleticism than Brock. Dude's running 23 miles an hour, and you can feel every bit of that MPH every time he runs out there and kills it.
He's not going to be able to go at this rate, and he's not going to be able to wrestle like this for very much longer. But goddamn, I'm enjoying it while it lasts.
It reminds me of Randy when he was younger, of what Randy used to do. Because when Randy was young, like dude was off the top rope hitting Mr. Drop kicks. Randy says, listen, I got to evolve my game, trying to preserve myself. Bron will learn to do that too. Like some things he won't do in his late 20s and 30s to preserve his body long term as a main eventer. Before we got right now, he is exceptional. And I definitely see it for him as a future WrestleMania main eventer who's going to be a big time champion in WWE very soon. But Sheamus, as you said, his last match in WWE will be for the IC title. He will win it. And then the very next night, he will say, I am retired. I have accomplished my goal. Put me in the Hall of Fame.
Peace.
And that's how it should be, honestly.
It should. It should be. Those are good moments when done right. The last thing I'll say on this, Debbie brought this up. I feel Ludwig will get a chance, but Tiffany gets one. Tiffany's getting one soon. Obviously, it feels like. I think Ludwig might be the guy to beat Braun Breaker as Braun pivots face. If it could happen that way, and then Ludwig is the guy that ends up holding that title because there's that orbiting of Gunther and Ludwig right now, where it would make a lot of sense for Ludwig to get elevated. And we are past the point where number twos to number ones are no longer just treated as the guy to eat a pin. They believe in Ludwig Kaiser, and you could see it in the way that they book him and give him opportunities to be more than just a star scream to the Megatron, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it totally makes sense. I'm here for that as well. For those who listen to the rap all the time, Ludwig is an original cheddar biscuit receiver, and I think he is going to be a champion in WWE very soon. Debbie says Sheamus right now is playing the role like Becky is for the women and is putting people over, which is fine. He will be totally fine. He will be fine. Sheamus is great. He has been great since upon his return. He was a little thickums coming back, but you know what? He embraced it and he hit the gym and said, I came back too early, and he's been on point ever since. He's one of the great treasures in WWE, a game time player who's always going to be ready to go out there and put on the show.
I agree with everything about that.
Yes. And I do want to pay tribute to one Baron Corbin, because I will say that dude deserves a residual check for working with Braun Breaker during that dude's last year in NXT, because he got him comfortable as a character that was going to be way more viable on the main roster. Like, this Braun Breaker was born from his interactions and his partnership with Baron Corbin. Give that man a residual check as he waits his 90 days out. I'm just saying.
I was really sad to see Baron Corbin go. I'm not gonna lie. Like, turned a corner on me for a while ago. I know that they really didn't have any plans for him, and he really didn't fit the vision of this new WWE while having a taking one for the team in terms of the stank for a number of years in which he was a company man. And a lot of those people end up getting life jobs, that kind of thing. And for whatever reason, this guy is just, we got nothing for you. And that's it. And I tended to like him as time moved on.
Man, if you asked me this like 5 years ago, I was like, I don't care.
Right.
But I was hurt when he got cut, because
it was like,
it hurt.
Was like, you just saw enough of him where you just kind of rooted for him when the company kind of positioned him in a way where you actually gave a fuck about him.
Yeah, and it's like he figured it out. Like, he finally figured it out.
I don't even think it was that. Like, the company threw him under the bus and made him a scapegoat for so much that they needed to own that, like, Constable Corbin, right? Like, so much shit that they did that wasn't working, and all of a sudden it was his fault that he was the proprietor of the shitty booking that they were perpetuating. No, get the fuck out of here. Company man, he ate every bag of shit he was given so he could make great steaks at home.
Great, amazing Ragu steaks, by the way. Amazing.
They look great.
I mean, they look great. Like, Chef Corbin, listen, if you don't want to wrestle no more, get you a chef bag. Cook, get you like a cooking line, get you some branded Wagyu steaks. Do that for yourself. But
I think he's canny enough that he'll be able to make a decent amount of money on the convention circuit without, really tearing himself apart. And he always seemed resourceful in marketing himself outside of WWE. He's not someone I'm particularly worried about.
No, I think he's very smart and savvy. He'll be fine. If he wants to wrestle, he'll wrestle. If he doesn't, he doesn't have to. He's made enough money to just be dummy witch forever and cook your Wagyu steak. That's good for you. But yeah, give that man a game check for definitely helping Bron really find himself as a performer on NXT in the lead up to him being who he is right now in the main roster for sure. All right. Now it is time to discuss our next match, which was for the World Heavyweight Championship. It was Gunther, the ring general, versus Damian Priest. Now, I had my own druthers regarding the build-up to this match because they made Gunther look like a wimp and a bitch heading into this match against Damian Priest. Got beat up, punked out every single week in the lead up to this championship match. But what has remained consistent is that Gunther is incredible in the ring and Damian Priest is great. And once again, they had another really good hard-hitting match that was psychologically based by targeting a body part and selling it.
But that was the match. Like, I love that they do that. I love when you make an arm or a leg part of the story of the match. But when there's nothing else to the match, and that's the only thing that you're eating from, like, the meal, it felt like it was missing something. I expected more from both of these guys in this match. And to me, the point of the match needed to be that Gunther needed to get his killer instinct back. And I don't know if they 100% accomplished that with the story that they're telling, but they're in the right direction. Gunther won this match. Finn Balor came down and gave Priest a coup de grace off the steel chest. And then Gunther saw it, beat the shit out of Balor for doing it, and then took advantage and did what he did to win, the power bomb and the choke out. But it was just kind of like there. And Gunther is tremendous. Damian has had blowaway matches. This didn't really feel like that. I think the point was to make sure that, they reestablished Gunther after losing to Cody and then just his whole run up for the last couple of weeks. And we get here, and it's just the story that they're telling. This was the last moment in the show before the WarGames to really give us like a surprise or like a wow moment. And running back Finn Balor and Damian Priest didn't really feel like that blowaway moment to me.
Yeah, I feel like their SummerSlam match was better in terms of like the physicality of it all. And I agree, like the build up to this match, especially for television, I wasn't feeling it. Gunther was basically stripped down of everything that made Gunther Gunther. Like he was pompous, arrogant, a shit talker. He backed it up. He wasn't scared of anybody. And for Priest to punk him out repeatedly, I thought it was a bit much. And you're trying to make up for it via this match by him being a bit more focused on a body part, but it wasn't enough for him to be like, I am Gunther. You know who I am. I am the ring general. I'm methodical out there. I'm going to go out there and destroy you. It was just things happened. It was good. Do not get me wrong. It was a very good match. But then I was disappointed because here comes Finn again. And I thought we were done after Bad Blood.
I did.
It's like, why are we circling back to this again? I thought we were done here.
I think it's the Mania match.
Oh.
I mean, you get to Rumble, and if you don't do it by Rumble or you cost each other like your chance to win at the Rumble, you elevate it to Chamber. If you put either of them in the Chamber, neither of them win, you eventually get to Mania. It's like neither one of them are going to be in the main event scene for the Raw title. Not with it being on Netflix, not with like all the other names that are going to be on that show, because that Raw on Netflix is going to be the A show. You know what I mean? This was okay. I think the thing that bothers me is this. They did the body part thing with Damian Priest. And I felt like that was more to protect Damian Priest than it was to give the impression that Gunther was a killer that will identify your weakness and like expose it. I think it was to say, it felt like it was more to save face for Damian Priest rather than give Gunther a killer instinct by just tearing this guy apart completely instead of doing the one body part. And then after Priest punking him for all this much, like, oh, he's got an injury, and that's why he loses this match. It just felt like you were trying to check off too many boxes, and nothing was satisfied as a result.
Yeah, I was very unsatisfied. Happy Gunther won. He made Damian Priest go to sleep, which was nice to see that he got the win in the end. And I'm glad he didn't just accept Finn's help. He was like, why you out here? I have this under control. Boot to the face for you two. Screw you. And as Debbie says, I need to know who booked this match. LOL. I know they wanted Finn to have screen time, but them tag team titles should have been on the PLE. Listen, those tag team titles need to go off Finn and JD McDonough. What should have happened on Monday Night Raw was the War Raiders winning. Because at this point, as Jeremy said, if you're building up a WrestleMania match between Finn Balor and Damian Priest, Finn should not be the tag team champ. I am sorry. Like,
well, the next step is Damian costing him the tag team title, right?
It better be.
Yeah.
It better be.
It makes perfect sense to me that the next time that they have a title match against like a viable contender, Damian Priest is the one that cost them the title. And then you continue to perpetuate the blood feud between the two.
It needs to happen. Otherwise, what are we doing here? Now, what I'm not a fan of is we just going to take this all the way to WrestleMania. Because I'm like...
I laid out the timeline and you're like, shit.
I'm like, wait a minute. So we got tag team championship betrayal. We're going to go to the Royal Rumble. They eliminate each other. Then we get to Elimination Chamber. If they're in the match.
Neither one of them make it to neither one of them gets the title shot.
None of them gets
boom, you're at Mania.
No, I can't. Not in Las Vegas.
Well, they're doing Liv and Rhea. Like,
oh God,
it's the year of the Judgment Day and it's the year of the Bloodline, right?
Dragging these plateau feuds,
squeezing the blood from the stone. Hey, you got people paying arm and a leg to go to these shows. They had another highest grossing gate tonight.
Yes,
they're doing something right.
They are.
People coming out to see these shows.
It is true.
It's like it's getting eaten up with a spoon, and until such a time that like what they're doing doesn't get the results that they want, welcome to the new regime. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we're just not going to get any satisfaction from these matches because they don't have to.
That is true.
You're missing out.
It is a fact. I'm still like horrified that these things could end up at WrestleMania, even though people are paying out the ass for these shows. And it's crazy because like another North American record was broken after Atlanta broke the record like a month ago, and now like shattered. Vancouver says hi, and it will happen again probably for the Monday Night Raw in Inglewood for the first show on Netflix. Like that would be another shattered record if I had to guess. So like they keep breaking records, they keep selling tickets. If people go see the shows, they will come, but it will come to a point. Okay, on location, dynamic pricing at that. And I think it will come to a point when these repetitive plateau feuds will also give fans who paid money at the ass pause to say, what are we doing?
They don't have to worry about it. Here's the thing. We got December and they got Saturday Night's Main Event, right? And they got a couple of tape shows, nothing going on. And then that Netflix show, you got John Cena coming back. You got the big Raw stuff. You've got all of these feuds like reigniting. Whatever's happening that night, they'll kick it off. We're going to get probably answers into what's going on with CM Punk and Paul Heyman. Like, they have so much lined up for down the line that they could just spin their wheels tonight and just give you like the crumbs and let you know, like, oh, it's coming. You just have to figure out when. And if you're looking at the giant like map in the sky, it's like Raw, Netflix, January 6th, Raw, Netflix, January 6th, Raw, Netflix, January 6th. All roads lead to that. Like until then, it just feels like we're not getting Cena until then. You know, it's like maybe he'll show up in December at the end of it, but wouldn't you wait until Raw?
Yes, and not a moment before. Don't tease him anywhere else until the first Raw of the year on Netflix. It makes perfect sense. But I will keep saying this. I don't want to see Finn and Damian Priest at WrestleMania. I don't want to see Liv and Rhea at WrestleMania. I will pull what's left of my hair out. I don't want to see it.
I'm sure you have a lot of hair, so I hope it's only a small handful.
Yeah, it's enough.
It's enough that you're going to notice the absence of hair, and that's not great.
Yes, like it's a little shorter than usual. It'll grow back, but for the love of God, I don't need these 2 matches at WrestleMania. Hopefully, they will resolve this beforehand, and that's all I will say. As we now get to our main event of WarGames, the Survivor Series of Deshaun. It is the new Bloodline. It is Jacob Fatu. It is Solo Sikoa, the bootleg tribal chief. It is Tama Tonga. It's Tonga Loa, an honorary Bloodline member. Bronson Reed versus the OG Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Jay and Jimmy Uso, Sami Zayn Uso, and CM Punk. This was the second best match on the show. Jacob Fatu is my MVP because he went out there and he just delivered. I hope he didn't hurt himself legitimately in this match like he did at some point, but this dude went out there, set the pace perfectly, and he was a star. The storyline in this match was, could CM Punk and Roman Reigns get along? Because Paul Heyman called CM Punk and said, hey, Punk, we're friends, right? We're family. We're honorary blood. I need your help. I need you to help me save my family. And Punk says, for you, Paul, I will do it, but you owe me a favor. What would that favor be? We don't know, but we did have Roman big time CM Punk in the beginning of this match by saying, no, you don't go. Sammy, you go out there and represent the family. And then it was time for Roman to do what he needed to do. Punk says, you know what? I got this. Big timed Roman. So I do love the fighting egos in this match. That told a nice story. And the match itself was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. I thought there were no surprises. You know what I mean? Like, it went everything according to plan. You know, like either team could have won, and there was a story that you could have come out of it. I found it not unremarkable, but it didn't exceed any expectations that I had. And I had a lot of expectations coming into this like match. I felt like the talent and the pedigree and the experience, and 4 of these guys have been in Elimination Chambers the last like 3 years, like I'd mentioned. Everything about it just felt like this was a recipe for something really awesome. And it was just awesome. And I feel like an asshole for saying it was just awesome. But the way that they built this up every week, these guys coming out, and it's just like, who's the next guy coming out? Who's going to be the next guy? They made you want this match. They made you want to feel like these guys were going to tear each other apart. And there were aspects of this match that I just felt like they weren't trying to tear each other apart. And I don't know, maybe it just be Tonga was a shitty wrestler. And just a couple of things here or there, just, I don't know. I want to say that, like, I was maybe tired or something like that. Just, this never hit that level of, like, wow. There were moments in, like, the Braun Breaker match where he hit that spear. And I was just like, wow, that was a tremendous moment, a tremendous impact, like, amazing. I think Jacob Fatu had a couple of moments that actually did that, and I'm gonna walk that back and say that he was really explosive before he started to really fuck himself up. But for the most part, I felt like we had seen the best moments of a lot of these guys in these kind of matches before. Even CM Punk with the toolbox. Like, he had that toolbox at the Hell in the Cell match, and he was vicious with that thing against Drew McIntyre. He busted him open, completely reckless. He couldn't have been more safer with this, like, sealed shut toolbox with a bunch of tools clanging around inside. Like, great little effect to make sure that that thing was like welded shut and wasn't going to bust open. But the way he was hitting him could have been like a pillow, for all intents and purposes. And that was just kind of like, I get not wanting to hurt each other. I get not seriously like injuring people. And from what I understand, Jimmy Uso, Bronson Reed, Jacob Fatu, they're all banged up right now. Bronson hurt his ankles, according to Fightful. You could watch like Jacob Fatu like tear out his hammy in the middle of the match when he did that moonsault and miss. And then they're carrying Jimmy Uso out on their shoulders, basically, as he's trying to like make it to the ring to do the pose, make it to the cages outside to do the pose. Like, you guys were hurting, and it just for what they got hurt doing, it just felt like it wasn't that much. And it's like, ew. Like, the worst thing is to get hurt and people not remember why.
Yeah, and that's the rare case of casualty of WarGames. Like, 3 people got hurt, and that's like gnarly. I hope it's nothing too serious, but the Jacob injury is the most concerning because how he landed and how he just immediately went down. And that was not like a cell job. Dude was hurting. And Bronson, he took some bumps too. The avalanche, tsunami through the table. Nobody was there. That was insane. Jimmy, as you said, he was getting helped by his brothers to get up the ramp to do the pose at the end. He was at the press conference. He looked a little weary, but hopefully nothing is too serious. But as you said, you have to think about, how do these guys get hurt? What did they do? Was it some high risk stuff? And it really wasn't a lot of high risk in this particular matchup, but just things just kind of went awry. But I still think that the body of the match was very good. And I thought the moment of CM Punk saving Roman from the avalanche tsunami was very good. I loved it. It was like, I got your back here. I said I was going to be a man of my word. I don't like you, but I got your back here. And there was acknowledgement there between the two of them. And I just love Punk being chill. Like, I ain't with this shit, but I'm just going to be here. So Paul owes me a favor. I do like that too. But I will say, in the back of my mind, when Sami was rallying the troops, helping Jimmy and Jay to their feet, helping Roman up, saying, hey, Punk, I thought for sure when they circled Solo in the ring that Sami was going to fire off a super kick at somebody. I so thought that because I
think they wanted you to think that.
Yeah.
They framed it in a way that was like, you can see that people are like calculating stuff. You know, like Punk was watching the whole scenario and Sami was kind of surveying the scene. And it was just at that angle where like Solo was not in the middle of the frame. He was framed off to the left, and there were other people framed in the middle, with Roman being framed off to the right. And it was just really interesting the way that they wanted to draw your eye to the people in the middle of the picture, not Roman and Solo who were on the fringes, in which was the real action that you were watching. You wanted to see the reaction of the people watching the action.
And I loved it because it made me think for a second what was going to happen. I didn't trust Sami, but he came through in the end. I'm very happy about that. Debbie notes, did you both feel we are going to get a more developed story on why Bronson was in the match? I'm still a bit confused on where he stands because Minnie was hoping something or someone would appear. And I thought Seth was going to appear during this match to definitely cost Bronson in the end. Now, the good news is we keep talking about January 6th, Netflix, Monday Night Raw. There are layers to this storyline because it goes back to CM Punk taking this spot as a fifth man, a role that Seth turned down flat but at the same time, he hates CM Punk and Bronson Reed. How does it all play into the Royal Rumble? How does it play into Elimination Chamber? How does it ultimately play into WrestleMania? I don't know, but they have the television time to sort through that. But for me, in a perfect world, in a year from now, I would love to see Bronson and Jacob Fatu be the meanest, baddest tag team in the land.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
won't happen, but I can dream.
Yeah. I think what we're gonna get from the Bronson Punk Seth thing is that we are still at some point heading towards Punk and Seth, right? But I think Bronson will end up being a talking point for Punk to Seth, basically like this guy that like you couldn't put away for months, I put him away in one night.
That would
just
be
to
the
get
nice
under
angle.
Seth's skin. Like that's the kind of thing that like Punk will tell the truth and piss you off doing it. And that's the kind of thing that like he's encouraged. He wanted a piece of Bronson because he wanted to one up Seth, which is a plot point that you can draw back to because Seth had every opportunity to do the job himself, but he chose not to, according to the story. And then that gave the opportunity for Paul Heyman to ask Punk, and Punk got to get a favor out of it. And now Seth can sit there and be pissed or not care or act like he doesn't care that Punk did the role that he was asked to do. They ended up winning. He beat Bronson's ass. There's a number of things about this that could really piss Seth off.
And I'm here for it. I'm here for him being pissed off and angry, even though he says, I don't want to be on this fucking team. At the same time, I kind of wanted to be on the team. This bastard took my spot and I'm pissed off about it. And it's a great story. And CM Punk could rub it in his face. Like, I was a better brother to Roman Reigns than you ever was. And if he says that line, I think Seth will go off. I love it though. And I think that Bronson is going to be the man in the middle in all of this, heading into,
I hope he's not injured.
Next year.
I've heard he's hurting.
I pray he's not hurt seriously. And if he is, take the rest of the year off, heal up. You don't need to be on TV. But we're worried about a few people from this match.
I have no doubt that it was that tsunami from the top.
Yeah.
That Punk pulled Roman out. Like Garrett flat out said that dude deserves extra pay for that one. And I have no doubt that, when Copeland did nearly the same thing and broke his leg, I'm a little worried.
Yeah, I hope nothing is bad, but that was high risk to go up top of the cage to do that. And then like Jimmy did the same thing and Jacob was already hurting too. And both guys took some punishment through tables to end that match. Still very good. Second best thing on the show side of the triple threat for the IC title. And at the end of the night, we didn't get a single surprise.
Nope.
We didn't get a run-in. We didn't get a shock. We didn't get we just got a show that was very basic by the numbers. And that's okay for WWE. But I think that is very important to kind of make each of your big PLEs, the big five, because I'm throwing in Money in the Bank as well, to make them feel like it's culmination of quarterly storylines that you're pushing on WWE television.
Is this number 4 or number 5 of the big 5?
I say number 5 because I think Money in the Bank carries
now
more
number
than
4
series. Yeah.
So what's number 3?
Number 3, I would have SummerSlam as number 3.
You not Royal Rumble?
Nope.
Okay. They're interchangeable depending on your mood and the time of year. I think you could switch Royal Rumble and SummerSlam depending on the year and the cards that year. But yeah, the big daddy is always WrestleMania.
Yeah, for sure. Like my order is definitely WrestleMania, Rumble, then I say SummerSlam, then I say Money in the Bank, followed by Survivor Series.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Any last thoughts about this show? I thought it was fine. Like there's nothing to tear apart. There's nothing to say this was a match of the year candidate. It was a show that you were able to buy for $7.99 a month on Peacock, and it was worth that price of admission. No problem.
I agree. I'm very happy I paid nothing because I'm a platinum member of
Of
Xfinity.
Xfinity. From what I've heard. From what I've heard. Meanwhile, you have a co-host that I will throw shade on that clearly has no idea how to watch any WWE in the year of our Lord 2024. And it mystified me that he didn't understand the difference between Peacock and Netflix and where you're going to watch PLEs in 2025.
Oh my God. When he had that moment, I'm like, Scott, the contract's still good for another year, honey.
He's got babies. I get it. He's got like a 2-year-old. He's got dad brain. It's not really a priority to make sure where he's going to watch it as long as he can find it within 5 minutes. Totally get it. Totally get it. But the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away.
Yes. It's like we are a year ahead of schedule. The Peacock is still going to be the primary distributor of PLEs unless you're in another country and Netflix has those rights. We're going to presume in the next year or so Netflix is going to get everything that is tied to WWE Network, but it is the end of an era because the WWE Network, as we know it, is officially shut down.
Goodbye.
For fans overseas. Goodbye. 10-year run. It's folded into Netflix.
I feel like I'm hearing the America Online dial tone just killed all over again.
Yeah, it's like
for the last time. It's just done.
It's done. It's like that little dial tone thing in the CD-ROM with your 45-day free trial. It's done. And an era is closed now. And the accessibility of WWE content hasn't been greater than this. Like you have Netflix, if you're paying the ad tier $6.99, if you're paying for the 2-screen, 4-screen experience, the accessibility of the WWE library is amazing if you're on Netflix. And I think that's going to be our future next year, even though Scott tried to jump the gun and say, has it already arrived?
Rough look for our guy, Salty. Rough look.
It's okay.
Better days ahead. Better days ahead for the sodium content.
He'll be all right. Listen, once he gets that Black Friday deal of paying $20 for a year for Peacock, he'll be fine.
Yeah, everything will work out. He's a resourceful young man. I believe in him.
Yes, he'll find a deal. He'll find like a $20 or $9.99 deal, 99 cents. He'll find an option for him that works best.
So I hear you guys are going to do an NXT draft with the Fight Game podcast.
Yes,
you got a strategy for this one?
I have zero strategy. I have to go in my war room and maybe bring that robot from Fox and talk to Cletus about it and figure things out and strategize and, get the war room
people to
together.
Hear and keep in a lookout for this draft coming up. If you're watching this show, the Wrap is going to get together with the Fight Game podcast. You guys are all going to do this draft together in addition to all the shows that you do every Tuesday for the Fight Game podcast, recapping the week that was in WWE. So I just want to make sure you had an opportunity to remind everybody and let them know what this show does and where you can find it.
Yes, thank you, Jeremy, with the smooth plug. I appreciate that as always. So Scott and I, we drop the show every Tuesday evening-ish, Wednesday morning-ish, recapping the week that was in WWE, talking about Monday Night Raw, NXT, and SmackDown on USA. And it's going to be a couple of busy weeks for us as well because he will be back, I presume, for NXT Deadline, which is the official final WWE PLE of 2024 going down on Saturday from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm going to say this very boldly. It will be better than Survivor Series because the Iron Survivor Challenge is one of the best concepts WWE has come up with in the last 20 years when they created Elimination Chamber. I will stand on that hill and die on it.
Can I tell you a dirty little secret?
Yes.
When NXT went to CW, I stopped watching NXT. I found it incredibly easy to walk away from. I'm not able to watch live broadcast TV where I live. I don't get a TV signal and I don't have a streaming service, so I have to rely on the CW app. And there were years, as you can look behind me with the comic book things, that I would spend on the CW watching Supernatural, the 15 years and such, and then The Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow and all that stuff. Let me tell you something, Keila. the CW app is fucking garbage.
Oh.
And you couldn't pay me to sit there for 2 hours and watch a show without skipping commercials like they do on the CW app with the CW app theme song. Nope. I am done with that shit. It ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry that it shows up on Peacock 30 days later. Not interested. Moving on. I got enough New Japan. The good stuff is WWE Raw, WWE SmackDown. It's okay. NXT can live in a bubble that I don't exist in. But you two are the ones that are the purveyors of information to tell me everything that I need to know about NXT with the wit and whimsy that I count on from Fight Game Podcast and the Fight Game Media.
It is our pleasure to fill that void in your life that is now the lack of NXT because the CW app. Listen, the moment that CBS divested from the CW was basically the end when Viacom and Paramount said, well, you know what? We're going
cut
to
the budget for the entire station.
Yes. Yes. We're going to cut the budget. We're going to sell it to these people that don't know what the fuck they're doing. This is no longer our problem. And when they did that, the moment they divested, exactly. They cashed out. They said, we're out. We're done here. Like the WB UPN experiment that we created 15 so years ago, we're done here. We're finished. So you guys have that affiliates. You choose whether or not you want to carry the CW because my affiliate switched in the last year or so. So that's how dire things are for the CW. So I don't blame you for saying, fuck this. I'm done. Leave the memories alone and let Scott and I provide you what you need every week regarding your NXT fix. And maybe you will only tune in for those quarterly specials to be aware of what's going on.
I would not have volunteered if you had a deadline PLE to recap next week because I do not feel like I could provide the content needed. I'll do the WWE recap with you whenever you need it. Scott can't do it. I already do the AEW recaps on the Boom with Kevin Ely. And man, I do New Japan podcast every Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And I watch every goddamn New Japan show that there is. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's in Japan, whether it's in America. Sometimes they're in Mexico. Sometimes I don't know where the hell these shows are at. But I've been watching it for a very long time, and I tremendously enjoy the promotion. It's not the hottest or the most excited right now. I'm really not that excited about Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty. And if you want to find out why, you can watch my show, and I'll go into it at depth. Otherwise, check us out. We talk about New Japan. If you have any curiosity or question whatsoever, you can find us on the Fight Game Media channel, and we talk about it then.
Yes, the best extensive New Japan coverage anywhere will be Speaking of Strong Style with Jeremy and Stephen Conway, another honorary alumni member of the rap family. And you know, it is that time of year we have to call in Stephen most likely and say, Stephen, dust off your tux. Let's do the 3rd annual Rap Awards coming your way in late December as we recap the year that was in WWE. As I pop Jeremy too and say, hey, who's going to win the 3rd annual Von Wagner Award of Excellence?
Oh, I had one for you. You need another award. You have to have the Von Wagner and the Gone Wagner Award.
Gone Wagner.
Who's the one most likely to be not here next year?
Oh my God. You know what? It's canon. We will do that. The Gone Wagner Award of who ain't going to be here in 2025. That is going to be something. Nikita Lyons, the dual winner of the Von and the Gone coming up.
And the Von Wagner is I'm going to go with Tony D'Angelo as my Von Wagner growth. Wait, okay. Tell me what the Von Wagner is again, because for a moment there I realized it wasn't like the best player, the growth. It was right now it's Jada Parker, right?
No, it's not even Jada. It's like someone that is so mid that you believe in the next year they're not going to be so mid. You believe a breakthrough is going to be possible for them.
Wesley.
You know what? He is a candidate. because I hate this run for him right
Everything
now.
I hear is just like, what's going on with this dude?
Cut terrible, heel promos bad, clothes bad. He's so mid. He's so talented in the ring, but so mid is everything else. Like you could only go up from here for next year. So we'll talk about that
Ryan
with the
and
Rap
Vinny and the
Awards.
Rap and a couple others. Is the Wesley lore has been inexplicable.
Yeah, it's been a rough go for him this year for sure. So we'll talk about the Rap Awards a little bit later on in December. Then we are doing another live show for Saturday night's main event on December 14th. So we got a busy 3-week stretch of live WWE shows on a Saturday to wrap up the year for us. And we'll be back on Wednesday morning talking about all things WWE. Scott will offer his perspective on Survivor Series WarGames.
Take a victory lap on Nakamura.
You know what? I will cut his microphone off if he goes too far. Because I would say, can we talk about LeBron? I will actually go there and say that and say, can we talk about the Lakers?
Tell me about the latest thing LaMelo Ball has said that's enlightening.
It's been years since he said anything of any note or relevance. God, there used to be a thing, people. It really did. It really did. Oh gosh, the memories of that. But
the reunion tonight has been delightful, Keila.
It has. I thank you for joining me, for making the hot tag. You have been missed here. I love your takes and perspective, even in your defense of Nia Jax.
She's grown. Like, she's definitely not the shitty ass wrestler that she was in 2018 when she busted up Becky Lynch and gave her a concussion and ruined that Survivor Series match. No, not at all. She has improved. She has less rough nights. She's not perfect in any way, shape, or form, but I'm willing to give her a little bit more credibility than I have in the past.
Yes, and I will also say, like, I have enjoyed Nia for the last year or so. She's been very good. Now, she does have her off nights, granted, and last night or tonight was one of them, and I'm not even going to blame her. I just attribute it to who the hell thought she should be the pace setter?
Look, a year ago when she came back, I don't think a single person was like, really? Nia Jax? This is awesome. She's turned a corner on a number of people, and I get the strategy of what they wanted to do in the match, but the entire mindset of these war games are flawed. They need to go the next 3 years and have every single advantage match be heels. Make it a thing that in 3.5 years, the first time a face team has the advantage, because a war games match doesn't work well when the heels don't have the advantage.
Yes. That needs to be a tradition that's not broken for a very long time. And the women have had that crutch for the last couple of years. Like, why do you have the advantage, baby faces? It makes no sense. Story is kind of thin. And this year with the ladies, there really was no story this year. I was still here for the match because of the talent, but even the talent couldn't overcome a lot of the stuff that we saw on the show. But hey, bad nights happen. They recover. We move on. And as I said at the top, I won't remember this match tomorrow. So that's a positive.
A net positive, I would say.
Absolutely. So I do want to thank Jeremy once again for joining me as we recap the highs and lows of Survivor Series WarGames. But before we go, Jeremy, the final score for this show on a scale of 1 to 10 Finestones.
6.75 Finestones.
A specific number?
Hey, you let me know the threshold earlier, and I took
it. Decimals and all. Sure. I will give this show a decent 6 Finestones out of 10. It was fine. It existed. I won't remember this show in the morning, but I will remember for Scott on Wednesday.
Can't wait for you to recap it again, because there are things that you two will most definitely have to litigate. And I'm here for it.
Yes, the litigation, the relitigation of Survivor Series for the final time. We'll get to that for the wrap in a couple of days. But until then, I want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening in and participating in the chat. Thank you so much for giving us a little interaction to get you through this episode. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, some other people that popped in as well. Enjoy the replay. Yes, enjoy the replay on Fight Game Media as well. And we'll be back Wednesday talking about the week so far in WWE with myself and Salty Scott Young. So for myself and Jeremy Finestone, that is a wrap for Survivor Series WarGames 2024. Until later on this week, take care and bye-bye.